Miami, take a knee. Take a knee. What was Miami thinking? They could have won that game against Georgia Tech, but they fumbled it away. What about in life? What does it mean to take a knee? What does a kneel down look like in our lives? Let's unpack it.
This is the Unpackin' It podcast, where we relate big sports stories to life and biblical truth. Our mission is to challenge, encourage, and inspire you to follow Jesus and become more like him with sports conversations that truly matter.
That's what I'm talking about!
Coming to you from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hey, I just want to thank you guys one last time for being here. It's the best day ever.
Here is the president of Unpackin' It Ministries, Bryce Johnson.
Welcome to the Unpacking It podcast, where we unpack parallels, metaphors, and topics in sports that relate to life and faith. I'm Bryce Johnson, a little under the weather today, but fighting through. Luke Heaton is with us as well. On today's episode, we are unpacking one of the craziest losses. No, you give Georgia Tech credit. They won the game. No, this is one of the most unbelievable losses in college football history for the Miami Hurricanes. And so we are going to look at the spiritual parallel, the faith parallel today on the show. And so we're going to try not to pile on Miami too much, but we got to talk about it. That's just such a wild story. So we'll have some fun. I think I'm going to share a football story from my own life that sort of relates to this as well. So you won't want to miss that, I don't think. So we'll have a great time. Really glad that you're with us today. Everybody on YouTube, excited about the people joining us on YouTube and continuing to see people find us there. So if you haven't subscribed yet to our YouTube channel, make sure you do that. And then you can find us on Apple and Spotify and all over social media as well. You can email me anytime, Bryce at unpackingit.com. Always love hearing from you. So we are brought to you by Sugar Creek Coffee. And what is your coffee situation? If you're a coffee drinker, are you just going to the store and kind of buying run-of-the-mill coffee? Or are you really waking up to a delicious, yummy, fantastic cup of coffee? And so if you're not experiencing that, I encourage you to check out Sugar Creek Coffee because it is delicious. And Luke sent me a picture this week. He got his package in the mail. You get this wonderful package in the mail of, a couple bags of Sugar Creek coffee, the orange bag. It's bright, it's fun. And then the coffee inside is delicious and fantastic versus you just grab you grab a little bag off the shelf. Come on, we got to enjoy some the whole experience. So check out sugarcreekcoffee.com. Use the promo code unpack. sugarcreekcoffee.com. Promo code unpack saves you some money, and we encourage you to order 2 bags at a time. Helps on the shipping costs. So Sugar Creek Coffee Roasters, they specialize in handcrafted, small batch, artisan roasted coffee. And so check them out today. All right, Luke. Well, I know you got some good Sugar Creek coffee running through your veins this morning as we record this podcast. And for today's topic, I want to go back to Saturday when Miami and Georgia Tech were in this, somewhat of a tight game, but Miami had the game won. All they had to do was take 2 knees and win the game. And what did they do? They ran the ball. And on 3rd down, they run the ball and fumble the ball. And so you pause there and you go, all right, why in the world would this happen? Are you kidding me? And then we got to talk about what ended up happening for Georgia Tech. But man, what was your reaction to this? At what point did you see this happen? What was your reaction?
Well, my first reaction, which is a completely local perspective in regards to my A&M fandom, which is that Georgia Tech quarterback Haynes King, former quarterback of the Aggies, he goes out and beats Miami, but yet A&M with an upgraded quarterback, they ran Haynes King out of town, goes and gets destroyed by Miami. So that was painful. But I mean, the fumble is so unfortunate. But then for Miami to then give up the touchdown. A guy's running wide open.
I know.
The last play of the game. And then the Georgia Tech receiver slid into the end zone, almost was down before the goal line, which was weird. He didn't just run in, he slid in, which could have been another element of terribleness for the game. But my heart just is shattered for those players. To go 5-0, I mean, their chance for the college football playoff likely done, which is just a bummer.
And it's just the word for me is it's an unnecessary loss. This was your game to win.
Yeah.
And so, there was no good explanation after the game for what they were thinking, and we don't really understand.
I know. Cristobal was, we should have kneeled. It's like, yeah, but why are you running the ball? Because people are talking about in 2018, a similar thing happened, Oregon-Stanford, when Cristobal was a coach at Oregon. And it's not totally the same because Oregon wouldn't have been able to completely run out the clock against Stanford. It was like second down. Stanford had one timeout left, about 58 seconds. So if you kneel, you end up punting with probably 10 to 15 seconds left. So you can't run out the clock, but it's similar. Oregon fumbles, game goes to overtime, they lose. So people are bringing that game up, but
which is crazy too. I mean, because that's a rare situation.
It's rare,
for it now
for it to happen
to the same
twice.
coach.
Because that's the thing. When you're in the position of Georgia Tech, or in the game I just mentioned, Stanford, when you're those fans, you're like, oh, can they please fumble? We know it never happens. It's like, our only hopes are if they fumble. But it never happens. And yet it's happened twice to Cristobal. How is that possible?
It is outrageous. And so here are a couple quotes just from the game. So on the ACC network, Tim Hasselbeck, when Miami still had the ball, he goes, just take a knee. You should not be handing this football off. I don't know what Miami is doing, because he saw them line up to run a play. And then after the fumble, he said, you should not be running the football. You should be taking a knee. As soon as Miami got that first down, Georgia Tech used that last timeout. As long as you milk it all the way down, you don't need to be doing this, and you certainly don't need to be fighting for extra yards. Mm-hmm. And so that was the other piece of it, where this running back for Miami to actually, is one thing to just sort of take the ball and dive and go down easily, but to actually fight for extra yards, to then put yourself in that vulnerable situation to allow the defense an opportunity there.
And because the same thing happened in Oregon-Stanford years ago, fumbles because running backs fighting for extra yards, which is coaching. Coach has to tell, hey, any contact, go down. But why would you not want to kneel it? Isn't victory formation one of the high points of being a football player? I get to take a knee here and end the game. And as a coach, don't you want your team in victory formation? Because that doesn't happen that often, where I have the ball and we can just end the game in victory formation. That's awesome.
It's hard to know exactly where the breakdown was. Did they truly not know that Georgia Tech used all their timeouts? Were they trying to get this running back, I think, to the 100-yard mark? That was a big deal. Like, that theory is out there. And so we don't really know. Was it the offensive coordinator? Was the head coach? Who's to blame? I don't think it would be the quarterback that would make that call. No. That seems outrageous.
That would be an interesting element to the story. Audibled out of victory formation.
Yeah, so no, you can't do that. So it's hard to know. But here's the story I was going to share, where you just sometimes you get caught up in the moment. And so I can relate to this. So I was horrible as a football player. I played 1 year of Pee Wee football, Pop Warner. I was like 12, 13 years old. And so I was a bench warmer. I was like the third string quarterback, the fifth string wide receiver.
Third string water boy.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the bench. And so our team, we were the Raiders, we were blowing out the Dolphins. We were up big. And so there was only like a minute left in the game. And so the head coach goes, all right, Bryce, you're in. And I go, I'm in. He goes, yeah, you're in at quarterback. Okay, great. He goes, whatever you do, don't score. Don't score. He just wanted us to run out the clock. Just run out the clock. So I line up at quarterback. And the play was a QB sneak. Mm. So I take that ball. This is my one opportunity. And when he told me, whatever you do, don't score, I had no idea what he meant. I couldn't comprehend that. What do you mean not score? The point of football is to score. And so I get that ball. All of a sudden, one hole opens up. I get a nice block from a running back. Another hole opens up. And I go all the way to the end zone and score a touchdown and run up the score. So that was, I realized later, the coach didn't want to run up the score. We're trying to have some sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Not me. I didn't even comprehend the idea of sportsmanship in that moment. This was my chance. I'm gonna keep running. Oh, I got daylight's in front of me.
Just nothing but green grass.
Let's go. So I get back to the sideline all excited about scoring a touchdown. My one, 15 seconds of fame there. And my coach is upset with me, and I forget what he said. But anyway, so like you just don't, there's communication, there's craziness.
Yeah.
Sometimes players don't understand what you really mean.
Yeah,
they don't
totally
fully understand the situation. So there was a breakdown for Miami somewhere along the way, and they allowed this to happen.
Man.
So there you go.
So what you're saying is Miami had their third string running back in. This is his one chance.
No, it wasn't the case. He was running for 100 yards. So he finished with over 100 and then a fumble. So that was tough for him. Donald Chaney Jr., that was his name. So the reality of this, and so Mario Cristobal, head coach of Miami, after the game, he said, we should have taken a knee. We were moving the pile. We had a pretty good drive going. Not going to make an excuse for it. Say I should have done this or that. Sometimes you get carried away with it, finish the game running. But I should have stepped in and said, take a knee. And so, it's easy to pile on and criticize, Miami and deservingly so. I mean, they let this game slip away and they had the chance, and all they had to do was do the kneel down, the victory formation, and they didn't. And so when it comes to our own lives, I want to talk about this concept of the kneel down and taking a knee in life. And so the Bible talks a lot about kneeling before the Lord in prayer and worship. And so it signifies this posture of surrender, dependence, humility, desperation. Because when you're on your knees, you're just all right. I'm before you. I give up trying to do it my own way. I need you. Help me. And so that's what in our own life, that's what the kneel down looks like. And that's what it represents. And so unfortunately for us, we're too foolish that we bypass the kneel down and we just keep going. We just keep running another play without taking a knee and going before the Lord before, we go out and face, the challenges in life and face the day. And so we have this opportunity to take a knee and we just don't do it. We say, I've got this. I won't fumble, or I'm just going to get a few more yards, then I'll kneel, right? It's like, let me get a few more things done, or then I'll take some time and kneel before the Lord. We try to figure things out in our own way. And so that's how it plays out for us. And so oftentimes in life, there are times where we really are looking for a win. And so it's in those moments that we have to be willing to take a knee. And so it's kind of this, I want to make this connection today where the knee can lead to a win. And so that's what we saw with Miami. If they would have taken a knee, they would have experienced a win. And so let's look at a couple different stories. We'll have Luke jump in here, but a couple stories from the Bible that represent this. Matthew 15, there's a story of a Canaanite woman whose daughter was oppressed by a demon. And so in verse 25, it says, but she came and knelt before him, saying, Lord, help me. And so there she is, just on her knees before him saying, help me, help me. And so after Jesus asked her a question and she demonstrated her faith to him, he answered her. He said, oh, woman, great is your faith. Be it done for you as you desire. And her daughter was healed instantly. And so you see the pattern here, the desperation, the taking a knee, asking the Lord for help. And then she experienced healing. We go to the Old Testament. We know the story of Daniel in the lion's den, and ultimately he experienced a win in the den through God's protection. And so before he was thrown into the den, Daniel rejected the king's this new ordinance that prevented everyone from praying to any god or man except for King Darius. And so in the book of Daniel, it says, when Daniel knew that the document had been signed, he went to his house where he had windows in his upper chamber open toward Jerusalem, so everybody could see him. He got down on his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God as he had done previously. So he continued to kneel and pray and trust. And when he was thrown in that den of lions, he was miraculously unharmed because he continued to kneel down, continued to take a knee. So with those 2 stories, Luke, what jumps out to you?
Yeah, I think the key thing is, why are they praying? Because prayer often becomes relegated in many conversations to a discipline, a practice. Hey, why aren't you praying? Oh, I'm busy. Gosh, yeah, here's a great prayer discipline. It's like, got to be more disciplined. But that may be true, but what's deeper below the surface? There's a helpful quote from a Desiring God article. I feel like I quote a lot of Desiring God articles, but they're so helpful.
Are they paying you on the back end or something?
I'm getting royalties here.
Yeah.
That prayer is not a discipline issue, it's a faith issue. Why is Daniel praying? Because he knows he needs to. He believes that through prayer, he's relating to God, he's fellowshipping with God, he's making his requests known to God. David isn't praying because he's got the spiritual discipline, or Daniel isn't praying because he's got the spiritual discipline of prayer down. He's finally figured it out. This window of each day, I can make it happen. No, it's because he believes that prayer is how he's able to navigate life. He's fellowshipping with God. His answers he's finding answers in God. He's making his requests known. God's meeting his needs. So it's important for us to acknowledge, if we're not praying, it's not because we're too busy. It's really a pride issue related to, we don't believe we need to be praying. The examples you just made, again, to reiterate, is because these people believe prayer is necessary. So in our own lives, if we're not praying, maybe there's something we're not truly believing about God. It's a faith thing way more than a spiritual discipline thing or a busyness thing. Because we make time for the things we believe we need. Even though we throw out busyness all the time. Oh, I'm so busy. Okay, well, you're spending your time on certain things still. Your time is still being deployed to certain areas. Those things are the things you think you need or are more important. If we're not praying, it's because ultimately we don't think we need it. And that is convicting to me as I say that, because there's many times in my life of prayerlessness. But it's not because of discipline. It's primarily because, deep down, I'm functionally operating that I don't need to pray. And it's understanding that we actually move forward to increasing our time with God in prayer.
Yes. And I think there is we know the Bible talks about continuous prayer, always being in prayer. And that just be our communication with the Lord is ongoing, and we have the opportunity for that. And I believe we can pray anywhere, anytime. He hears us. There is something about taking a knee before the Lord, and truly, you hear about the moms or the grandmas that pray by the bedside every night. I remember Charles Stanley talking about that, about his mom. And so that picture of somebody just humbly on their knees before the Lord is a beautiful thing. But what does that represent? It's this surrender. It's this humility. It's I'm desperate for you. I'm coming before you. I'm emptying myself. And so I do believe there is power in that, in that posture. Is it more powerful than regular prayer? I mean, that's not necessarily the argument there. Prayer is powerful. God is powerful. But when we really get to that place of, no, I'm going to take a knee, it's just an active sort of step, so to speak.
Yeah, I think It's a great tangible example of our neediness before God. To take a knee before the Lord requires humility, submission.
Yeah.
God, I am yours.
Yep.
Because like, why did Miami not take a knee? Ultimately, they did not believe it was necessary. At the end of the day, a team that goes to victory formation and takes a knee believes we've got to take a knee to win this game.
Mm.
If they're running the ball, they feel like they don't need to take a knee. For us, if we're not kneeling before the Lord, if we're not praying, and for some of us, if we're not willing to get on our knees before the Lord in prayer, it's because we don't think we need to.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
we need to think through that and process through that to be able to go to our knees before the Lord, because we do need to, but many times we don't think that.
Mm. Yeah. So two other examples of, guys that we look to, especially Jesus and Paul. So here's in Luke, Jesus gives us an example of taking a knee in full surrender. And so here he takes a knee before the victory on the cross. And so it explains in Luke 22. And he withdrew from them about a stone's throw and knelt down and prayed, saying, Father, if you are willing, remove this cup of divine wrath from me. Yet not my will, but always yours be done. And so, I mean, that is a powerful scene. That is, that's what we want. That's true surrender right there. Jesus, of course, willing to give his life for us, and not necessarily, hey, wait, is there a better way? Is there another way? No, okay, I know your will, God. You sent me. I'm here. I'm here to accomplish your will. I'm willing to do it. But he took a knee. He took a knee uh, before God, and so that's an amazing scene. Now, Paul, he took a knee. Here's what it says in Ephesians 3:14. For this reason, grasping the greatness of this plan by which Jews and Gentiles are joined together in Christ, I bow my knees in reverence before the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. And so again, it's a bow down. It's reverence. It's acknowledging. All right, I'm in my place. I'm not God. You are God. I'm on my knees, and it just sort of represents that. Um, we could talk about raising our hands in worship. What does that represent? It's just another act of just sort of surrender. And so today we're talking about taking a knee because Miami gives us this inspiration today. But we see four different examples here of people taking a knee before God. And so I believe in this. Do I always do it? No. Oftentimes I'm sitting in my chair and I'm praying. But when I get up and go to another part of the room and kneel, there's something about that adds an extra layer of power, surrender, uh, just an acknowledgement of the Lord. And so,
Yeah.
and let me just say this real quick. So, when we talk about things on this show, we are struggling with these things. We're working through it. We're followers of Jesus that are sports fans. We're working through all this stuff. But when we talk about things, like, I actually believe what we talk about. So this concept of taking a knee, like, I'm not just talking about it because, it'd be a cool parallel from Miami. Like, I actually believe it. And so yesterday I had a friend call me in desperation. He marriage in trouble, just a horrible situation. And so, hey, man, I'll pray for you. No. Time out. No, I'm going to pray for you right now, and I'm going to get on my knees right now and pray for you. And so I'm not saying that to brag about it. I'm just saying that's what we've got to do. That's so I want to, if I say something, I want to put it into practice. I'm like, hey, I wrote about this morning. This was yesterday. I want to actually, so I got on my knees in my office to pray for my friend. And there's power in that. Even though we're distant through the phone, that was an opportunity. So again, with the desperation and all right, God, this I don't know what else to say. But all I know is to go to you. I got to turn to you.
Yeah. No, great example. Totally. And again, it's not, hey, if you guys want to, this isn't the 3 steps to unlock powerful prayer. All right, first, get on your knees. All right, open your hands 30%, raise your hands 90 degrees. Like, no, but because in everything, what's the heart behind it? But in my experience too, there is just something about physical posture before God
Yeah.
that just while you're praying, you're in that posture, and it's just because I mean we're embodied humans. We live in our bodies are part of who we are, and physical posture in prayer can often be powerful because as we're talking to God, we're in this posture of bowing before Him, and as we're praying, we're continually reminded of, all right, I'm bowing before God. So yeah, no, there's something about it that can often be just incredible. And again, not that we're chasing this incredible experience, but it can be a helpful reminder of, yeah, no, I'm really bowing before the one true God here.
Amen. And so we're all looking for wins in life, right? We're looking for answer prayer. We're looking for, answers. We're struggling with different things. And so for some of us, it's, we're looking for a win when it comes to healing, healing physically or healing a marriage or healing something that's going on. Um, maybe we're looking for protection, kind of like Daniel. Daniel, ultimately needed protection in the lion's den. And um, or strength. We're in need for strength. We're in a tough season of needing to persevere and endure, and we can't do it in our own strength. And so instead of foolishly overlooking the kneel down, we've got to embrace the idea of taking a knee. Um, and so you know, instead of a fumble, let's find victory as we seek the Lord in just total dependence on Him, trust, faith, um, and again, it's also open handed too, where we come before the Lord and we trust that He can. We've talked about this on the show. We know He's able. We know He's all powerful, but sometimes in His will, it's not the answer that we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go back to what we talked about with Jesus saying, "Not my will, but Your will be done." And so, is that our posture as well?
Yep.
We kneel down before the Lord. Lord, You are God. You are in control. You are sovereign. You are good. You are faithful. Here's my situation. Here's my perspective.
Yep.
Here's where I need You. But Your will be done.
Yeah. Does our physical posture match our spiritual posture? So if we're on
Bingo.
our knees before the Lord, but we're only asking for selfish requests,
That's right.
there's an incongruity there.
Ooh, that's a big word. I'll have to look that one up.
Not
That's
sure I
pretty
can
good.
spell it, but I can pronounce it.
That's pretty good. So here's a cool verse to remember. Psalm 95:6. Oh, come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord, our Maker. And
Mm.
so He is the Creator. He is the God of the universe, and so we should bow before Him. Now, I understand it's not physical before Him. We can't see Him like the Canaanite woman who was with Jesus when Jesus was on earth, and help me, Lord. But it's the same thing. He's still there. He is with
Mhm.
us. He is alive and well. And so we still bow down and kneel before our Maker, our Creator,
Mm.
the God of the universe. So as you hear the media criticize Mario Cristobal and come on, take a knee. Why would you not take a knee? What are you thinking? Let's think about that in our own lives.
Hmm.
What are you thinking? Why aren't we taking a knee? You need healing. You need God to move. You need your heart to change. Go before the Lord. Kneel down and take a knee. Take a knee. So there you go. Any final thoughts?
Nope, that summed it up well.
All
Nope,
right.
great football weekend, and yeah, good conversation. It certainly challenging for me, even as we're discussing this.
Absolutely. Me too. Because there's probably been seasons of life where I've been more apt to take a knee, and even a couple weeks about a month ago, we had a prayer time at church with the men. We had a men's event. We prayed before, and the pastor was like, "Hey, all right, guys, let's all take a knee." And I'm like, "Oh, this is like a hard floor. I don't want to take a knee." But what a powerful uh,
Yeah.
environment to see, I don't know, 20, 30 men all circled up,
Mm-hmm.
taking a knee, praying together. It was a
Yep.
special moment.
Oh, that's
I had
awesome.
to apologize to my pastor. I go, "Oh man, yeah, I didn't want to take that knee. I didn't want to take that knee. I'm too out of shape." But sometimes we got to do it. So enough of the excuses. You were talking about busyness,
Yep.
whatever the excuse is to not take a knee,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't make sense either. It's like, what are you talking about, Bryce? You can't take a knee. What are you, 37 years old? You can't take a knee? Just like Miami. What are you doing? It's third down. There's no time left. Take a knee.
Yeah.
Take a knee.
Take a knee.
All right, there you go. So for Luke, I'm Bryce. I'm a sports fan who follows Jesus. I believe I'm fumbling around because I was going to say I'm sick today. Thanks for bearing with me that I got through this today. So thank you, God, for your strength today. My voice is not at its best. But I'm a sports fan who follows Jesus. I believe in the good news that he died on the cross for my sin. He was resurrected. And through faith, I've been saved by his grace. I hope that is true for you as well. And I hope you'll join me as we live life as sports fans who follow Jesus together. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Unpacking It podcast.